I actually came from fieldwork. I was working with blockchain developers and cryptocurrency traders for like 6 hours in different places of New York City. So it's wonderful just to leave their place and come here and talk about the cryptocurrency blockchains as platforms. So what are we going to do? Can you hear me? Are we okay? Are we okay with that? If Murshid, you're there still, hi to you too. It was a great presentation. All right, this is what we're going to do.
We ask you to stay at the podium.
Okay.
Otherwise, the people cannot see you.
Ah, okay. All right. Very good. So what are we going to do? Our main objective is to talk about the economic use of blockchains for cooperatives. So I'm going to study blockchains from the perspective of a cooperative. We're going to first look at what is an economic platformization. This is the big picture. So if you're going to understand what a platform is, then we're going to look at what is blockchain as platform. Then we're going to try to understand what does a blockchain platform do. And finally, I'll try to share with you some of my ideas on the potential of blockchains for platform cooperatives, and I'll try to finish everything in 40 minutes, Trevor. And then we're going to have Q&A. Hi, Cynthia. We need to understand the digital world for one obvious reason. In the last 2 decades of economic activity, the amount of digital flows of anything grew in world trade 45-fold. This was the period when finance, services, and goods that are not digitalized was growing really slowly. So whatever is going on in relation to a form of digitality. And it's very important to think about digitality as a physical geography. Do not think like, oh, like a TED Talkish, thing like, before there was bytes and now there are, before there were atoms, now there are bytes. We live in a different, no. I mean, cloud is in New Jersey, it's a warehouse, workers work there, all right? Cell phone is wireless, but it's not wireless actually. It connects me to the base station, which connects from underground cables to somewhere else. So if you want to invest in cables, material things. That explains why you have this strange picture looking at material things that I took in where Eva was actually started. However, there are differences like this one. In this digital world, Beijing and London could be very close to each other, right? In terms of repercussions. But in the physical world, as we know it, they are different, but they are still geographies, materially instituted. Digital platformization of economies create a number of things. One is, for instance, a new digital exchange constellation may incorporate many markets. A lot of people argue that blockchains create no intermediaries, no more institutions. We are seeing a Cambrian explosion of institutions. We have never seen such a explosion of markets. There are like around more than 20,000 new markets, almost all opened in the last 10 years. This is going so fast. I don't understand. It's very nice. It is creating a new barter economy. It is creating a new bank form that we haven't seen before, a mint, an automated trading system, an informational infrastructure. Everything is moving around me right now. I mean, this is going on, this is turning around. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to, adjust to that, which is great. An architecture for product and service delivery, a new distributed accounting system, and more importantly, and we have to be very careful on that, a generator of a new kind of value that I will propose to describe as spillover data value, and we will talk about it very soon. The consequences are vast. We are economizing barter. Imagine Facebook, it's a barter economy. And you read microeconomic economists telling us that, oh, all these traditional forms of exchange like barter are disappearing, and now we're uber modern like this strange Weberian. No, no. Firstly, all these exchange systems work on production relations. Second, barter like Facebook, all right, is becoming perhaps one of the most lucrative businesses of human history. And it doesn't draw on exchange. It barters with you your time and gives you an instrument to send a funny cat picture to your grandma. That's a barter relationship. Never think like an economist if you're not an economist, if your salary is coming from a university. Because in trade and in economization relations and social justice, people think in completely different ways. We saw emergence of two-sided markets like Amazon. We see product price payment system integration and diversification. This is very new. Rematerialization of economic relations. We see new materialities when things are getting digitalized. We see reintermediation of economic relations, not de-intermediation. We have new intermediary institutions, new tools of economic imagination. This is very, very important. And new tools of economic exploitation. And finally, increasing relevance of RAND approaches or actor network approaches in making sense of these things. What are we talking about? This is theoretically where I come from. We actually, as people who try to understand the world, whether professional scientists or non-professional scientists, operate to try to understand four things. Representations, like discourses, like ideologies, like science. Actors, such as co-op members, women, bourgeoisie, animals, virus. The single largest impact of world economy comes from a non-human actor, and economists do not tell us that virus is even an actor. You don't learn this at the university, right? Networks, infrastructural networks, structures, stacks or platforms, or devices, such as this gun. It configures agency. So what we really understand is the interaction of these. If you are a methodological individualist, for instance, you only look at one actor and describe everything else in the world as an unintended consequence of those individual actions. If you are a Marxist, for instance, classical Marxist, you would only be looking at one actor, which is social class, collective, human, and then think that history is nothing. Nothing. But history of class struggles, I don't think so. Not having gender there is already a problem to understand economization and stuff. So what we need to really understand now, what we realized afterwards, is not to freeze our conclusions in advance theoretically, instead open up a platform of understanding to look at how these four things relate and cannot relate to each other, to describe action. This is actually actor network theory, which is proposed by Michel Kellon, developed also in part by Bruno Latour, and now I'm working on trying to describe perhaps a second version of ANT that also incorporate politics and political relations more openly. Okay, platform economies are studied by many, but I like to look at how corporations study them. And if you understand how a corporation works, you will see the first thing that you're going to see is that their mind works like a Marxist. It's always power relations. They don't imagine an imaginary individual and then try to guess what's going to happen in society. They don't believe that supply and demand come together and then produce a price. They know very well how economies work. That's the only reason that they actually survive in this world. And I was trained in futures and options trading. And when I was traded, the first thing that you learn is actually to forget methodological individualism or microeconomics, but to think institutionally and structurally, like Karl Polanyi, like Karl Marx, like people who study economies on the ground by looking at the conditions that produce them. Oh, that's very good. This is like Netflix, and then you see parts of the show. Like, this is really nice, actually. It's helping me. Okay, this is how Chase Manhattan, JP Morgan sees it. Firstly, everything is between labor and capital. So you don't have imagine an individual who does this, who does that. That's classical Marxist perspective, okay? Labor and capital here, and they are, labor platforms are either transportation, Uber, or non-transport work. Capital platforms are either selling, I studied one today, for instance, a cryptocurrency exchange, and leasing of a car, Airbnbs, and etc. Okay, so this is by and large what's going on in platformization. And this is what happens if I try to buy this telephone from my friend here, and with this $100, okay? So here's the telephone, and my wallet, I take out money, all right? And then Daniel gets the money, and then I got, hey, I need an iPhone, that's not smart. And then I get an iPhone. So that's an exchange. Here is the wonderful thing about it. I cannot, without hurting Daniel, take this money back and then buy your iPhone or exchange something. I can't reverse it, and I can't replicate it. So the materiality of the money has an effect on that economic relations that I just showed you. Now let's see how to do this with digital money. Imagine I sent him $100 worth of Bitcoin. All right? It's going to look something like that. This is my wallet. And then I take this out and then send it to Daniel. Okay? And then I still get it. It is impossible. It is impossible to carry out exchange with that kind of thing, data. Because you can copy it. This is where you can find the paper. If you read the paper, you're going to have more questions. So listen to me. Don't read the paper, but you can you can download the paper. It's going to come out in Economy and Society very soon. All right? So this is impossible because you can actually take a picture and then send it to, what's your name?
Frank.
Frank. And then I can just send it to Frank and try to buy his telephone. Because I can infinitely copy and paste that kind of representation, but the materiality of this representation makes it impossible. So the problem is fraud is so easy in digital things, it's impossible to financialize them. Blockchain is the answer that makes this possible. Okay? So, how? Blockchain takes care of an accounting system, writes down everything that happens on it, and then you see that this record, that accounting trail, appears in everyone's computer. So it's actually, think about an Excel sheet, all right? You can write on it, we can all write on it, but we have a voting structure to accept it, and then once it's written, you can't delete it. All right, it's a book, it's accounting, it's double entry bookkeeping, digital, decentralized, everyone. Nothing to exaggerate as if it's like, oh, I don't understand block. It's very simple, all right? You can actually program it without even knowing computers so well. And I'm teaching it actually with a friend in my cryptocurrency class, and we're going to have one. If you're super interested and want to see, you can come to my class next Monday, 9 a.m. Okay, so what is going on is the following. Blockchains assign accountants, and they call them miners, but they actually do accounting. And they assign incentives for accounting. Why am I going to do accounting for a blockchain Excel sheet, right? A system. I need something, and this protocol gives me a carrot, and this carrot is called Bitcoin. All right? So miners choose the ones that pays better. So it is a myth that exchange is free. There is an exchange fee that you can attach to trading. And then they began accounting for all these relationships. By and large, this is how it works. But if you want to learn more about it, we can talk later. The rest is only details. And when it is accounted, you see something like this. If you go to their webpage, you're going to see them. This is about a Bitcoin transaction between these two nodes. And then you can actually see the book is kept very well, all right? Very much like a company takes care of the books. But these books are kept by everyone else in the system. Okay, we talked about money. Let's look at the money. Every form of value is represented with some kind of materiality. This first money, this is Lydian money. It came out in Anatolia, where my mom lives now. Actually, very close to where she lives. These monies originated. It's metal. It's very difficult to replicate, and then you pass it. As I transfer this to, thank you. As I transfer the coin, imagine a quarter, to you. What's your name? Jamie. I put value on this coin and send it to you, and then you can send it to me. This is how we transact. All right? Money carries this value, our belief system in it. It's a social relationship too. Second, paper money. This is invented by the Chinese, and then it's stolen by Kubilai Khan, another Turkic-speaking man. And then this is US dollar. The materiality of it is paper. Actually, US dollar is 75% cotton, but we can still call it paper. All right? So you put on this piece of paper, which is very difficult to replicate, your belief in the value of it, and then you send it to Jamie. What we are seeing right now is data money. So Bitcoin, my friends, is the materiality of it is a right to send data from one place to another. And it only belongs to me. And this piece of data is unique. And when I send it to you with a computer, its materiality is even more unique than paper and metal. Because we are financializing rights of sending data for the first time in human history. I repeat, we are financializing the right to send data as materiality, a materiality of money for the first time in human history. That's why it's not digital currency. It's confusing because my fiat money is digital currency too. I can Venmo you. It is digitally represented anyway. This is not data money. It uses data, but it's not data money. The materiality of money, when it is data, like Bitcoin, it's data money. The others are digital currencies or digital things. Okay. So what are we seeing now? This is by 2017 when I started carrying out this empirical research. This is the cryptocurrency capitalization as of 2017. And the combined effect of cryptocurrency economies was then larger than 89% of national economies in the world in terms of US dollars. So this is an enormous expansion in such a small period of time. So such a platformization will go on and increase over time. The infrastructure of a cryptocurrency blockchain is actually, as Murshid also said, a socio-technical assemblage. I call it agencement because it's French, it looks more intellectual, but they mean the same way. It is a sociological and technical combination of many things, all right, that enable actors to do X, Y, Z. Agencement, agencement, okay? And there are two types of actors that use blockchains. To develop them, there are 25 of them. Okay, like a security architect, all right? Here you don't see them. This is from the user side. So in terms of accounting, there's two types of blockchains, open accounting or closed. If anyone can be a miner or an accountant, it's a public blockchain. If the protocol decides whether only people who have blue eyes can be accountant, it is a closed accounting system. So these are the people who keeps the books. So your Facebook proposing you Libra doesn't tell you that, look, you're not going to take a look at the books. I'm going to do that. All right? That's why it has to be banned. You can't let this happen. Okay? So the problem is not in the blockchain, but in specific politics and sociology of the chain that you propose. Okay? The second is public or private blockchains. This is whoever, if you just let people to transact in them, send data to each other in a public space privately, then it's a public blockchain. This is what Facebook wants. Libra is going to be, every Facebook user will be using their money. This is actually taking like fiat currencies away from people and putting Mark Zuckerberg's pocket. I mean, I can't believe they can actually even propose that in a democracy. You can't propose that. This is not very different by saying that, oh, I'm a corporation. I'm going to you're going to use your US dollars, but the mint is not going to touch them. I'm going to mint them, and I'm going to account for it. Not technically different from such a proposition. We would laugh at a corporation like this. When Facebook does it, we don't laugh. We try to understand. Why? Because it's a new technology. And so this is very important in thinking about the relationship between blockchains and cooperatives. So we're talking about three platform novelties. We're talking about a new money form. Nothing good or nothing bad. These are economic design interventions in life. Nothing necessary, like design itself, right? Fascism was a design solution too. It doesn't necessarily imply anything good. Without your moral openness and political awareness, all right, it is impossible to qualify these things. So, second, we see a new accounting system. It's mining. We see a new infrastructure and economic structure, and it's blockchain. So let me talk a little bit about what's going on in those blockchains. I looked at this research draws on this taxonomy and definitions, draws on an empirical research on cryptocurrency blockchains that you can find in the in this link here. So I looked at 100 blockchains, and these blockchains, the first 10 of them carried almost 75% of all blockchain economization. And the first 100 is more than 90%. So it's not a sample, actually. It's like a universe when you study them. So what I did was, it was mostly computational text analysis, but I also use ethnographical and sociological methods. This one looked at all these, we put together a big data of those, we and my assistant, of these things, and then we looked at them with R to try to see what was going on. And these were top 100 cryptocurrencies and their white papers, and these are their names. And when you put together a word clouding, which is actually just counting frequency, you don't see anything. It's like you do word clouding for Bible, and all you learn is that it's about love and God. So if you do this to those white papers, you think that blockchain white papers is about blockchains. Thank you very much. Very explanatory. And they're about working data token. No, it doesn't help. So I needed to find another methodological intervention to that. I used a dictionary in social sciences, Craig Calhoun's Dictionary of Social Sciences, to try to look at the distribution of social scientific categories in blockchains, and we saw that they're about value creation in a new market exchange technology developed in an ecosystem to make the community work. It's very, very difficult to put together an entire sentence after such analysis, all right? So, and then I carried out an unsupervised machine learning with R, which is, it sounds so interesting, so very scientific. But actually, it's a very simple thing. I mean, don't think that this is science. This is descriptives. This is not what we understand things. This is how you see them in a new way. It's a very simple thing. I can show you how to do it. But the topic modeling is you look at what kind of words appear together. All right. The first topic is platform. Okay? So it's about platforms. It looks at networks, blocks, transactions, bitcoins, time. Time in digital things is what a glass is for water. Without time, digital things are like marbles on a marble surface. Just they go anywhere, okay? So that's why it's also a part of the platform's making. The second is data is transaction tool, so it's about money. The third is about a market. The fourth is actually an accounting service. And fifth is about the agents that make this possible. What is going on with blockchains? A lot of people think that blockchain's importance is going up. I don't think so. This is the last analysis that I did about the Bitcoin transactions, all right? So like a year ago, this is like around 1 year ago, they start around 20% to all the way down to 10%. This is the role of blockchain in registering account transactions. So what happens is the following. People are buying and selling cryptocurrencies between markets. And markets do not register them because they keep them as vaults. So blockchain in those financial transactions are not centrally important anymore. It's very important, but in terms of transactions, its importance is going down. Okay, so cooperatives and blockchain platforms. What do we do in cooperatives? I have been a member of one, Park Slope. Trebor is a member too. I love it. I founded one in Istanbul with a number of people. Just studying Park Slope food. It's a fantastic thing, and it's economically more viable. If you go back to this class's webpage, you can see a film about Park Slope Food Cooperative. In terms of square meters, there's no other supermarket-like institution that sells more in the world. Period. We win. Whole Foods are studying us, like, how do they do it? All right? Economically, it's faster. It's very... But cooperatives shares means of production. When it comes to a sales cooperative, sales itself requires producing a relationship designed within a social architecture. All right? This is something, for instance, Marxists have great difficulty in understanding because they believe that my soul is Marxist, but I'm not a Marxist. I love Marx, but still. Because they can't understand exchange itself. Everything is production, and market relations are epiphenomenal, resulting phenomenon. They are not. So cooperatives actually show that marketing itself, the very framework can be shared. Means of exchange, all right? How do you exchange? And sharing products and service infrastructures themselves. However, until blockchains, cooperatives couldn't even imagine doing a number of things. With blockchain platforms, we see autonomy in accounting, because this is a new bookkeeping system, right? We see autonomy in money production. We can financialize data transfer rights as a community. We don't need paper money and a mint to do that. That's revolutionary in terms of technology. Not a social revolution, because if it happened, you would know. You wouldn't need me telling you. Anyway, revolutions are one of those things that you don't need someone like me telling you that a revolution happened last week. You know it. Okay? And autonomy in relations of data production and exchange, and autonomy in scaling and financializing data assets. This is what blockchain platforms can do, either private or with public blockchains, or with open accounting or closed accounting. All of them can do this. What changes is the people who become a part of it. All right. The challenge is here changing meaning of public and private. To think about the idea of blockchain in a cooperative setting, you cannot drag your assumptions about public and private in a different kind of materiality to the materiality of digital things. Like human rights, right? Human rights is not owned by anyone. It's distribution rights. And then we believe that you cannot take my human right to live, and if you do it, you kill me. All right? You kill me, it's bad, which is very good. It's still killing is bad, right? But it is the impediment that prevents you taking me my right. So this is how rights distribution is not about owning platforms that make them possible. It's about who uses them and how they are being used. What makes blockchains private and public, my friends, is not ownership. This is wrong. Sorry, there should be a not there. All right? We are talking about rights of circulation, not owning of a platform. Okay. For instance, a public blockchain is not owned by all of us. All right? It doesn't have an owner. It is a distribution, rights distribution infrastructure. Okay, what are our conclusions? With the use of blockchains, cooperatives can do 4 things that they have not been doing. First thing, if you want to control a society, you control their money. Okay? So you cannot assert horizontal forms of autonomy without making your money. And I'm not sure that in capitalist democracies, people are enjoying economic democracy. All right? The relations between classes are so open. Think about New York City. The median income is $48,000. All right? People are very poor here. Very, very poor. Tourists do not see them. They go and check out the rich people's museums and then highlight. That's it. So I always take, for instance, when my mom came, we were driving, that was in 1998. We were driving from JFK to Queens when I was living then. She was shocked. Is this New York, really? With new tools and structures for economic democracy, it may give us a new instrument. And if you crown it with making your own money, which is very easy on blockchains, you can economize cooperative relations that you have never economized before. Previous forms of cooperativism, I believe, Owens, Britain, communist political imaginaries and cooperativist political imaginaries, by and large emerged at the same time. Cooperativism failed because they never thought about money. Communism was all about money. And Lenin made his personal guard the head of central bank, as you would know, all right? It was very important, okay? So this time, there is a possibility to scale that experience because of the most central economic institution, money creation. You can financialize and claim spillover value. This is very important. Imagine right now you have a new car and you take the car to a mechanic, and then the mechanic connects your car to its computer and gets data. Who has this data? Are you paid for this data? Because he took your data, who looked at it, which is connected to car company and then this. Now I have a car which has an app The app connects to the car and then tells me where the car is. Actually, the app connects me to the corporation of this car. And then they're monitoring everything that I do. Why? I like apps. You see, it actually provides agents with and takes away agents from a number of rights and distributions. We can financialize spillover value. That data that I generate, just, riding a car, all right, is actually creating a spillover value. It's a value form that we don't know right now. Very soon, governments in democratic countries are going to say that, wait a minute, Google, you can't do that. You cannot be a search engine and sell something at the same time. And plus, when you're searching, government, public, who creates that data should know about it. Okay? But this is like, we are like in 1920s right now, 1930s, driving those fast cars, and then people are saying, look, you need to wear seat belts, it's the car company's responsibility. And then Ford says, I don't care. Don't make any mistakes, don't make accidents. No, we know now that it's the companies because it creates a device. Not only that, it's also the infrastructure. So digital platforms are going to be understood soon, and then we're going to be proposing new seatbelts. And we can democratize and develop decision-making processes, but it's not automatic, it's not easy, and things do not happen by themselves in blockchain. So we need to work on them and understand them. And I am guessing that in 20 years, blockchain is going to be a term like internet. So right now I'm explaining what internet is. Imagine I open a center I propose to Elliot that we do in transdisciplinary design an internet center. He would be like, what? Did you lose your mind? What do you mean internet center? Now they're opening blockchain centers, which is like, it's funny. It doesn't mean anything. You see what I mean? So as a platform, then we're going to be seeing the increasing importance of them. More and more designers and organizational designers and social scientists will be using joint competences to understand, make, reform, remake them. And we're going to see more coming together of cooperative things and blockchain things together, because cooperatives will then begin to realize that their imagination of economic future will be multiplied. Not because there's a libertarian ideology of blockchain. There's no ideology of blockchain. What people talk is different from what people do. That's why social scientists study what people do, not what they say only. Okay? Because they say a lot of things. I don't care what people say. I say a lot of things. Everyone says something. I look at what they do in their everyday life. I look at where money comes from and where money goes. All right? I look at power relations in that, and when we look at these things, we see a different reality. Thank you very much.